If you've been watching this team closely, you can feel it starting to shift, and it's happening at the perfect time. The biggest reason is simple. The 49ers defense is finally getting healthier in areas where it matters most. For a while, this unit was surviving on effort and scheme, but now you're seeing reinforcements show up that directly impact stopping the run and getting after the quarterback. And that changes everything once you start thinking about January football. When you add veterans like Eric Kendricks, who has quietly put together 9 straight seasons of over 100 tackles, you're talking about reliability, instincts, and someone who understands leverage and run fits. He's not flashy, but he's exactly the kind of player who keeps things from unraveling. Then you look at the defensive line, and this is where things get interesting. If Sam Okwuegbunam is able to give you meaningful snaps, that's a big deal, because he helps you in multiple ways. He can anchor against the run inside, but he also gives you flexibility as a pass rusher from different spots. And that versatility is something this defense has been missing. On top of that, Yetur Gross-Matos has actually been the highest-graded pass rusher on the team, according to Pro Football Focus. The only real question with him has never been talent, it's availability. If he can stay on the field, even in a limited role, he gives this defense another legitimate way to affect the quarterback without having to blitz constantly. What's encouraging is that we've already seen what this defense looks like when it's even close to whole. During that recent winning stretch, they weren't just winning games, they were controlling them, holding teams to single digits, forcing turnovers, and setting the tone early. No, forcing 7 turnovers over 3 games isn't something you can bank on every week. But here's the thing, you don't need 7. You need 1, maybe 2. George Kittle even said it himself, if the defense can just hang in there and steal a possession or 2, the offense will do its part. And right now, the offense is about as healthy as it's been, which makes that formula very realistic. So let me ask you this. Do you honestly feel more confident in this defense right now than you did a month ago? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. And if you've been enjoying this kind of breakdown and want non-stop Niners coverage as things heat up, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We're pushing hard toward 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps get us there. When you zoom out and look at this team as a whole, that's where the real confidence starts to come from, because it's not just one unit carrying everyone else anymore. Earlier in the season, it felt like the margin for error was razor thin. If the offense stalled, the defense had to be perfect, and if the defense slipped, the offense had to go nuclear. Right now, it feels more balanced, more sustainable, and that's exactly what you want as things tighten up around the league. Offensively, this group is about as close to full strength as you can realistically expect. Outside of Ricky Pearsall dealing with yet another injury setback, the core pieces are there, and more importantly, they're playing with rhythm. The timing looks cleaner, the decision-making looks faster, and you can tell there's trust across the board. That matters late in the year when games slow down and every mistake gets magnified. You're not seeing panic, you're seeing control. And that's a big difference from earlier stretches where things felt a little frantic. One area that doesn't get talked about enough is special teams, and quietly, that's been a strength. You're getting real contributions in coverage units, more discipline, and fewer self-inflicted wounds. In tight games, especially playoff games, that stuff swings momentum. A solid return, a pin deep, a clean kick. Those moments add up. It's not flashy, but it's winning football, and it rounds out the profile of a team that can survive ugly games when needed. What also makes this moment feel different is the landscape around them. The NFC doesn't have that one unbeatable monster lurking. Every contender has flaws. Some have offensive line issues. Others have quarterback inconsistency. Others are bleeding injuries. That doesn't guarantee anything for the 49ers, but it does mean they don't have to be perfect to make a run. They just have to be themselves, play clean, and stay healthy. In a conference like this, that's a powerful place to be. Do you think this is the most complete and balanced version of the 49ers we've seen during the Brock Purdy era? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you agree that the NFC feels wide open, go ahead and hit like on this video. And if you want to stay locked in as we break all of this down, heading into the stretch run, make sure you're subscribed and notifications are on. Now, let's talk about the team that always seems to come up in these conversations, because no matter how you feel about them, you can't ignore them, and that's the Eagles. It's easy to scroll through comments and see people saying they're washed or that they don't scare anyone anymore, but that's not really how this works. This is still a 9-win football team with a defense that has quietly turned itself back into one of the best units in the league, and if you underestimate that, you do it at your own risk. Since their bye, and especially under Vic Fangio's influence, their defense has been flat-out nasty. They're getting after the quarterback, they're locking down the secondary, and they're forcing offenses to be patient, which a lot of teams just aren't built to do. Opposing quarterbacks are completing barely half their passes, their passer ratings are way down, and they're not giving up many points. Even when you account for some weaker opponents in that stretch, the eye test still backs it up. This is a disciplined, well-coached defense with talent at all 3 levels, and Fangio has them peaking at the right time. Where it gets interesting is when you flip to the other side of the ball. The Eagles' offense has been all over the place, and that's really the swing factor. The scheme earlier in the year was vanilla, predictable, and honestly easy to defend. The offensive line hasn't been the same dominant group, and that's impacted everything from the run game to Jalen Hurts' comfort level. Saquon Barkley hasn't had the season people expected, and the offense has struggled to find an identity. That said, over the last couple of games, you can see them experimenting, modernizing concepts, and trying to settle into something they can trust. Sometimes all it takes is one confidence-boosting performance to get a group rolling, especially in a city that puts pressure on its teams like Philadelphia does. That's what makes a potential matchup with the 49ers so fascinating. You've got one team whose offense is steady and whose defense is rising, and another team whose defense is elite but whose offense is still searching. If these two teams see each other in the playoffs, it won't be about trash talk or narratives, it'll be about which side can cover for the other just enough. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me at all if the 49ers went on the road and beat them. At the same time, it also wouldn't shock me if the Eagles made life miserable for everyone they face. That's how thin the margin is. If the 49ers had to go into Philadelphia in the playoffs, would you feel confident about it? Yes or no? Let me know. And if you're enjoying these deeper breakdowns, make sure you're subscribed and help us keep climbing toward 1,000 subscribers. When you take a step back and look at the rest of the league, especially the teams that are supposed to be in the mix, it actually makes the 49ers situation feel even more realistic. This doesn't feel like one of those years where you're staring up at an unstoppable force. Instead, it feels like survival of the steadiest. And right now, steadiness might be San Francisco's biggest advantage. You look around the NFC and you see a lot of talent, but also a lot of cracks. Some teams are dealing with major injuries at key positions. Others are wildly inconsistent week to week. There are teams that can look dominant one Sunday and completely lost the next. And that's a tough way to live when the margins are this thin. It's why being able to win different types of games matters so much. Blowouts are great, but grinding out ugly wins is what keeps you alive in January. Teams like Green Bay or Detroit can beat anyone on their best day, but they can also beat themselves. Tampa Bay has been sliding. Chicago is physical and opportunistic. Seattle has elite coaching, but still shows vulnerabilities. The common theme is that none of these teams feel bulletproof. Every single one has a flaw that can be exploited. That's where the 49ers come back into focus. They don't need to be flawless. They need to be clean. Limit turnovers, stay disciplined, and let their roster depth show up. When other teams are relying on one side of the ball to carry them, San Francisco can win complementary football. And in a year like this, that might be the difference between a quick exit and a real run. So I want to hear from you. Which NFC team do you least want to see the 49ers face in the playoffs? Drop that name in the comments. And if you like these league-wide breakdowns through a Niners lens, make sure you hit like and subscribe so we can keep building toward that 1,000 subscriber goal. This is the part where it all comes together, because eventually, every conversation about this team leads to the same question. Can they actually finish the job? Can Brock Purdy win a Super Bowl? And at this point, I think it's a fair question with a fair answer. Yes, he can. Not because he has to be perfect, not because he has to put up video game numbers every week, but because he plays the position the way this roster is built to support. This version of the 49ers is constructed to win in January. They can run the ball when conditions get ugly. They can protect the quarterback well enough. They have playmakers who can create yards without everything being drawn up perfectly. And now, the defense is rounding into form at the right time. That combination matters more than highlight throws or MVP chatter. It's about being able to survive 4 quarters when everything tightens up and nothing comes easy. What really stands out is the mental side of it. This team doesn't look rattled. They don't look like they're chasing validation. They look like they understand exactly who they are and what they need to do. Brock Purdy embodies that. He's calm, decisive, and comfortable playing point guard. He doesn't need to be the hero on every snap, and that's often what separates teams that go deep from teams that flame out. When mistakes happen, they don't snowball. That's growth, and it's real. Are there things that have to go right for this team to win it all? Of course. The run defense has to hold up. The pass rush has to finish plays. Turnovers have to stay manageable. But that's true for every contender. What makes this different is that the 49ers don't need a miracle path. They just need to play their game, stay healthy, and take advantage of a conference that doesn't have a clear alpha. So I'll leave you with this. Do you believe Brock Purdy can lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl win? Not just get there, but win it? Let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and help us reach that 1,000 subscriber milestone. Your support keeps this channel growing, and we'll be right here with you every step of the way.